Hello, everyone. I'm really excited to be reviewing yet another book. And this book today is called Adapt and Thrive. And I've had it for a while now. I've just been putting it away to finish some other book that I've been reading. But I just thought, let me pick this up. It's a quick read. It took me about 2 hours to go through. And I don't rate myself as a fast reader. I'm sure other people could get through it in way less time. And my first thought when I went through this book, the first thing that came to my mind was this book is an esteem booster. If you're looking for some words of encouragement and assurance to get you through a stock patch that you may be at, then this is the kind of book that you should be reading. And I think, well, I personally plan to read it at least twice a book, depending on how often you get stuck in analysis paralysis and you just can't move beyond a certain spot. But yeah, I would recommend you to read this book. So yeah, grab a copy. I got mine from Amazon, and I'll probably pop the link down below. As usual, I always have takeaways and learning points from every book I read. In fact, from everything, really, every experience in life. And reading the book, the first few sentences that I read, the author, Jubilee Okoro, she hits me with the sentence about preparedness meets opportunity. Now, I've heard this several times. You know, it's said over and over again, but I've often wondered, how do people know what to be prepared for? Are they led by the divine, or are they just want to learn multiple skills, just hoping that at least one of them will eventually click? Now, from my experience, and also being a person of faith, I choose the former over the latter. But please let me know what you think in the comments below, if you've ever had any experience about being prepared for an opportunity or not being prepared for an opportunity, and what you'd have done differently. It'd be really interesting to hear your insights. Also, I agree with Jubilee for sure that there's we all have a number of limiting beliefs, and I can imagine tons of people as well have this, because that's just how our brains are wired. We tend to remember vividly negative experiences a lot more than the positive ones, and we tend to focus our thoughts on negativity, and the media isn't helping much either, where you get to hear lots of bad news of all sorts of awful things going on. But I think a solution to this could be keeping a gratitude journal. This would definitely help you keep track of all the things that you the places where you were stuck before, how you've overcome it, where you are now. And yeah, you just see that you are currently living the life that you prayed for. You never know. I use Diaro app. It's some app I stumbled on, and it helps me keep track. I use it for my dreams and just to journal different things, different experiences. And I've been doing this for a few years now, so it's always very interesting to just scroll to the very beginning and just keep going through different experiences and stuff that I've forgotten about. But then when I read through it, I remember, I'm like, oh wow, I did this or I did that. So it's really just good to keep that kind of journal. So specifically now is just to keep, I think what I'll do, because I don't have a gratitude journal, is to, in my Diary app, just put a word of gratitude and just say what I'm grateful for. Thinking about it, we do have a gratitude jar where me and my family, we just write some things that we're grateful for and we put it in, and then years later we could just bring out the jar, open it, and just see lots of things, lots of praise points that we've had over the years. Now, when she said when she said fortune favors the brave, because she mentions that in a part of the book, I immediately remember the popular phrase, do it afraid, and how each time I've done something afraid, gosh, there's so many things I don't want to do, but then I just do it because I have to do it. But then I realized that those moments are actually when it turns out really great and a lot way better than I expected. And so I've gotten to a point where when I see myself being hesitant to do something, it's like a flag, and I just immediately tell myself, you are doing this, you know. And when the thought comes in like, oh, what if I fail? What if I don't do this? What if I stutter? Because anyways, what if I, you know, what if I don't do very well? And then I tell myself, what if you do? What if you do succeed? What if you, you know, do the right thing and things turn out a lot better than I expected? And that's the power of positive thinking, which I think is immeasurable. You just have to go through this life with positivity, which then translates to, you know, so many other positive things happening in your life. Yeah, so I'm definitely not in an ideal place yet, but definitely not where I was before. So yeah, I've noted it down that I should be a lot more brave in taking action, taking steps that are not within my comfort zone. Yes, she talks about indecision and how it's a trap. And I really love the fact that she said, if you don't make that decision, like if you're stuck between doing one thing or the other, or not doing anything, even not doing anything is also a decision. But if you're stuck and you don't pick a side, you don't make a decision, life tends to make that decision for you, and usually it's not the right decision that you should be making. So if you're stuck with trying to make a decision, just make it, you know, and move on. It doesn't have to be the right decision all the time, but it just shows that you've taken a stand, you've taken a position, which is good. And so I made a list of things that I'll be doing right from reading the book, and top of that is defining what success means to me. Success may mean different things to different people. Success may be for someone writing a book, for someone else it could be producing a movie or a song or being a script writer or something. It depends on you as an individual. And so I think the first step for me is define what success looks like to me. Some people may want to be famous and popular, while some others just want to stay at the background and just get things, you know, get the oil wheeled and just get things moving. So that would definitely be my first step. It definitely helped me focus and minimize any form of distractions, and keep me grounded in who I really am and not living someone else's life or success story but mine. I'll definitely also be doing a variant of a SWOT analysis now, but this time I'll just focus on the strengths and not on the weaknesses, because I find that, you know, even animals, yeah, she gave the example of animals. Animals thrive using different features that they have. They leverage on their strengths. She talked about the chameleon leveraging on its strength and not competing with other animals that have other strengths, but just using what they have to help them survive in the wild. And so why should we as human beings focus on our limitations and our weaknesses? Yes, there's always room for development, there's always development areas, but you can always enhance your strengths and leverage on them and make them work for you instead of trying to fix what you're not. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, I read the book Strength Finders. I can't remember the author, but yeah, the book also encourages us to focus on our strengths and, you know, build on that and let that be your focus. Yes, you can develop other areas that you want to work on, but just focus on your strengths. Yeah, something else I've noted down is I have to get a coach. I've experienced wonderful coaches in the past, either from my place of work, and yeah, it's definitely something that I think I want to do personally now on my own from my pockets. And you know, if you get to see this, Jubilee, I hope you share yeah, how we can engage the services of your coach, because from your story I sure need some of that coaching that your best friend you know, helped you with. And definitely, yeah, coaching is an investment towards my future that I'm willing to make. I think I've gotten to that point where I'm not going to mize any pennies and just yeah, get that coach. And the last thing I took out of the myriad of tips was the need to have a tribe, a support system, I've heard this over and over again, but I, keep hearing how it's important to have a tribe and a good support system. And hearing about Jubilee's experience and how her tribe supported her, it gave credence to the need for that support system. And I've had such wonderful support from my family, friends, and people who see a lot in me than I've ever seen in myself, really. And yeah, but this time I think I would not hide the fact that it's challenging to get people with like minds, people who share your values, who share your faith. It's quite difficult for some of us to make new friends. Yeah, it's not really a strength point, but yeah, I've noted it down and I'll be intentional about it. So please hold me accountable. Suffice to say that I'll be sending a copy of this book to my darling sister. I'm sure she'll, obviously I know her, so I know she'll value this book as much as I do. And it's really, yeah, it's just really helpful to get that push, that nudge. Yeah, so yeah, go ahead and get yours. I encourage you to do that. On the author, I met her at a conference in 2023 and she immediately radiated warmth and brilliance. She introduced herself to me and I was so drawn to her, like, wow, such a warm person. And I remember being stuck on one of the days, because the conference was a few days. It was an annual conference. I think it was even the next year. I reached out and like, oh, are you going to attend? And she was there. And I remember being stuck between going to catch my train back home and staying for the juiciest part of the conference. And she was like, Bimi, I think you should stay for this. And she even went ahead and offered to, and she also paid part of me getting another ticket. And that just gives credence to the kind of person that she is, and it makes everything she's written in this book really believable, at least to me. And yeah, I think she's such an advocate for people, just wanting the best out of them from the little experience I've had with her. And yeah, I'm just privileged to have met her, and I think you can also have a piece of her by reading the book and just getting to know the kind of person she is and the tips that she shares. So I hope you enjoy it. Happy reading. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Is this the kind of book that you would like to read? For those who've read it, what did you think about the book? Until next time, happy reading.